The purpose of the survey was really to, across the industry, gather people's experiences and also opinions on using open source telecom software projects, and to share an anonymized, aggregated view of the different projects. Reason being, the projects generally have a few people that run them. It's their babies. They love their babies intensely. You can't ever tell them that their baby is slightly ugly in this little bit because they get very emotionally involved. So all anonymous to sort of help understand how people are using these projects. I did a weblog to introduce the project. Why did I do it? I get asked lots and lots of times by people to compare, to comment on the different projects, which is okay, but it tends to be biased to, well, who I last talked to. So what I try to do is something that's a little bit more definitive and authoritative than just my opinions. Now, there is a ton of material on here. I'm just going to pick on a few things, okay? So I'm going to look at asterisks, going to look at Quayle, then comparative analysis, and a few takeaways, okay? And I'm going to be quick through it because, well, we started a little late. So here's, just so you understand, I had several different ways you could respond. You could respond by answering questions in Google Slides, on Google Sheets, or take a Google survey. So we had 95 good responses. As you would imagine, some people start and then realize, oh God, this is a ridiculously long survey, and give up. So you don't have something that's meaningful. You get a few nutters that like filling surveys in and just putting random stuff in there. So even though we had over 100, 95 good. And this shows the split in terms of who, of those responses, 75% referenced asterisks, 54% open SIPs, 43% Quayle, 41% free switch, and then just a few with Rescom MobiSense. And I did talk to the Rescom MobiSense guys just to let them know that I was underrepresenting, but it is what it is. Now, we looked beyond just the core telecom app servers. We also looked at the management interfaces, the solution wraps, sort of the monitor capture, and as you can see there, free PBX, Fusion PBX. It was nice to see quite a few people using RTP proxy. Again, relatively, not that many people commenting about it, but I see it popping up in a lot of projects. SIP capture, of course, or Homer, Wezo, which of course is the fork from Xevo. But it was nice to see again, even though it's a relatively new project by name, it's still from Xevo has carried a lot of the community spirit over into that. And as we've seen through this year, they've been busy actively supporting the open source community through a whole range of different events. And we also included the different WebRTC projects. And as you would imagine, Janus, Jitsi, the top two. But again, it's just providing some quantification so we understand how the other projects compare. I also included in the matrix because, well, it's a cool project, and Federation and its RTC capabilities are interesting. And we had, well, I'm going to name the person, because Sebastian filled in one of the surveys, because he loves Node-RED, it was in there. But with that said, it is actually a very important project in helping us take all these different tools and make it easier and easier for a broader range of technologists to be able to use these capabilities. And we're seeing already with Nexmo, some of the tools they've been putting together. So they've got Sam Machin leading a project that I think, again, is really at the forefront of making it easier for more and more people to be able to solve business problems using programmable telecoms. That's just when I basically, when you read it on the weblog, there's a lot of people who don't know what many of these projects are. For example, in the Asterix community, quite a few people don't know what Quayle is and how important. You laugh. It is. It's amazing because they use it for a particular need and it meets their need. But then understanding that there's this broader community of open source projects and a lot of them are quite complementary, again, it's just getting people to understand just the vast array of projects out there. So just a few on the asterisks. So as you can see, lots of different applications. I put this survey together relatively quickly. As always, you make mistakes when you do it the first time. When you talk to open source engineers, when you say CSaaS, so contact center as a service, they think that's all I'm talking about, not doing a contact center on-prem or a hybrid or whatever. So, for example, we had responses from people that were using VC-Dial on asterisks, but then they didn't tick the box for they were doing a CSaaS implementation, because I asked CSaaS, I needed to have put in contact center and all the other variants of that. So there are some mistakes on here, but it shows the vast array of different ways in which asterisk is used, but also look at the scale. So it's used across a whole range of not just enterprise scale, but up to big service provider scale. And at AstriCon last month now, we had Fred Posner presenting on how you use asterisks and Kama-Elio to achieve scale. And then when you look at the strengths and weaknesses, again, providing more quantification, and this takes time. It's a 20-year-old project. Reliability, flexibility, community, maturity, because people are betting their businesses on these projects. You need to ensure that that project is going to be round, that it's going to be maintained, that there's a community there that is active, so when stuff happens, fixes, patches come out quick. And then, of course, as you would imagine, and this again needs more work, but we're looking at some of the weaknesses, and I did delve in. So a couple of people put it, with asterisks. I asked them about scalability, and they said, "Well, it doesn't." And I said, "Well, you use Kama-Elio." And they said, "Yes, but asterisks doesn't." I said, "Well, yeah, but if you use the two projects together, it's not really a weakness." So again, we need to sort of get this a little better defined. To, I think, get a better representation. Also, Sangoma had just bought them, so as you would imagine, there was a concern as to what's going to happen. I think AstriCon did a good job in allaying the community's concerns, but it's a very delicate balance between the open source project and the commercial interests, and you really need to keep those two as separate as possible. And we see with Kama-Elio, OpenSIP's a really strong push to maintain that, particularly with Kama-Elio, while where you have that sort of overlap, things can get a lot more complex. Then just quickly, these are just, again, showing it's active. This one, again, we'll do better next time. We didn't include geography very well, because as you can see, there's a big spread on being able to get consultants. Some markets, like in North America, it's relatively easy. If we look over in Asia Pac, it's hard. South America, it's a little bit easier, but still. So again, we need to sort of look at this from a geographic perspective to get a better handle on where the gaps are in the market. We asked a whole host of implementation questions as well. So of course, and bare metal VM images was the top, as you can see, by quite a way. So this isn't sort of a AWS Google party, and this is across all the projects. Ansible is definitely the strongest. There's a range, as you would imagine, but definitely Ansible is the popular choice. And then own rather than cloud or hybrid. And then we asked around redundancy, and we got a ton of different responses there. Again, we need to sort of follow up a little bit more on these responses to get a better feel for how it's actually been implemented. Then to give you on Kama-Elio, again, sorry I'm racing through this. I'm just trying to get us back on time. Again, lots of different applications. It may be a SIP router. It doesn't include some of the media functions, but again, you can see it's being used in a whole range of different applications. And as you can see, people use it particularly at scale. But even then, they're still using it at 1,000, 10,000 sessions. And then in terms of strengths, again, performance, community, flexibility, stability. And well, anybody who's played around Kama-Elio will know it's not for noobs. And you really need to know your stuff when you're messing around with Gamma Elio. But it's getting better. It's one of those that over time, that improves. And then, strong, sort of 100% will remain a dominant open source project. And then we asked about the client protocol interfaces, and we got a whole range of different responses there. What was interesting is we got many other SIP SDK in the survey. So we need to ask when we do a follow-up to get a better view in what are they. But as you can see, a whole range of different approaches there. And then, as you can see, it's lively, it's open, great response in terms of how easy it is to engage with the community. And if you develop and enhance the platform yourself, how easy is it to find the community for your submissions and pull requests? Relatively easy, and that's a hard one, because now you're messing with the core rather than just sort of being sort of a good team player. Now you're starting to sort of influence where the platform's developing. So this one really shows that it's a very welcoming project. Relatively easy to find, but as you can see again, it is harder. That tends to be actually, again, Asia, South America. So Gamma Elio is very strong here in Europe, less so in North America. Already mentioned, there's people who are using Asterix, unaware even of Gamma Elio. Then similar results to what you saw with Asterix, vMimage, Bare Metal, Ansible. Then again, own infrastructure. And similarly, again, when we asked about redundancy, whole range of different responses. Now, I'm going to be writing up a weblog. I know I promised at TAD Summit Americas that I'd do it. We'll get time at the end of this year, honestly, to write up a weblog where I can get all these results put together and get the core presentation out there so people can review and look through the results rather than just looking at my presentations. Just comparing Asterix to FreeSwitch to Gamma Elio to OpenSIPs. So this is around how active, vibrant the developer community is. So you can see, Gamma Elio is doing well, but broader spread on some of the other projects. How open does it make it to participation as open versus closed? Again, Gamma Elio, OpenSIPs doing very well. Asterix a bit more of a spread. FreeSwitch a little bit more difficult. How easy it is to engage. Again, you can see the spread there. And then, develop, enhance the platform yourself. Again, you can see a bit of a spread. I mean, Asterix gets used in a whole range of different applications. It's an older project. It has a far greater diversity of people using the project. So as you'd expect, you see a bit more of a spread. And then, again, same spread in finding knowledgeable consultants with, again, Asia Pac and South America being the hardest to find relevant consultants. But again, I didn't really ask the geography questions very well. So I was sort of inferring that more from people's email addresses, which isn't the best way of doing it. So just to wrap up, just a few takeaways. For configuration management scripting, the answer is Ansible. It's clear, resounding, and I think, should each project share popular scripts? Yes. Getting more scripts out there to help not the experts, but the noobs, the people that just want to have a play with it, to get it up and running. Whatever you can do to make it easier, I think is going to be important. Native cloud isn't a popular choice, and we'll discuss that in the panel session. I've already mentioned around geography, but I think as a community, a global community of people working on open source telecom software projects, I think there are still major geographic gaps in the market. I would say Europe is most probably the center when you look at availability of consultants' expertise. North America has its biases, but again, has been using these projects for a while. But definitely when we look out in APAC, and to be honest, open source is very aligned to how a lot of enterprise, Asian enterprises operate. So I think there's clearly a vast untapped market in getting more and more developer skills up, running, and using those capabilities. So the survey did end up being a bit long. And, if we do a follow-up, I suggest we focus on just a couple of surveys and focus on particular aspects people find important. So when I do the weblog, which will be next month, honest, we'll use that to gather everybody's feedback to look at what we should do for next year.